Welcome back to the 1-800-FunkSauce.com show. Episode 18. Today is my birthday. You are probably hearing this later, but I'm recording this on my birthday. And I don't love birthdays. I think it's safe to say I care less about birthdays than the average person. So I'm going to share some stories here that are vaguely related to birth and birthdays, but in no way happened on any birthday of mine. There's a life lesson, that runs through the center of, most of it. And it's don't count your chickens until they hatch. You might say to yourself, I don't know exactly what that means. But I will eventually here now tell you exactly what that means. When I was a child, growing up in Wisconsin in the 90s, the Chicago Bulls were everything. They were huge. You really couldn't go very many places without someone talking about the Bulls or Michael Jordan or Space Jam or whatever. And alongside Michael Jordan on the Bulls, you had, Scottie Pippen, but you had Dennis Rodman, who, in my eyes, as a very small person, was just about the coolest guy to ever play basketball. He'd go out there and his hair would be like leopard print hair, and he'd be out there like 2 nights later and his hair would be like the sunset. This guy had crazy hair, and he would go out there and basket the ball. And I, as a kid, I looked up to Dennis Rodman and how cool his hair was. And so this one time, my family is at my uncle's house, which is sort of like adjacent to Chicago. I don't think it's, Chicago proper, but close, or, one of the suburbs or something. But we're there for some probably vaguely holiday type party, and the whole family's there, a bunch of us kids, and everyone's having a good time. And my uncle is like talking like a duck, which is something that he did. Maybe he still does, I don't know. But at some point, I guess my uncle goes to my dad and he's like, hey, I know where Dennis Rodman lives. And one of us kids overheard this and was like, we understood, Dennis Rodman was a huge celebrity. He played basketball on TV. And so we get the address from my uncle for Dennis Rodman's house. And this was back in the day before MapQuest, before those things, right? So I think we had to get like directions or something, but we, on our way home from this party, stop outside Dennis Rodman's house, and we pull into this driveway behind this like kind of old looking truck, and we're like, I don't know, not really sure if this is Dennis Rodman's house. This guy plays basketball on TV with Michael Jordan. Not really sure if this particular house is Dennis Rodman's house, but it was the address that my uncle had given us. So we send my dad goes to the door, leaving us all this full minivan of children just waiting in anticipation as my dad goes, and he goes and, rings the doorbell. No one comes to the door. And we're in there, and we're in the van screaming, "Ring it again, try it again." It's Dennis Rodman's house. We're right here. Rodzilla is right inside. So we think. And so he's trying the doorbell again, "Are you home?" Doesn't seem like anyone's home, right? So we're like, try knocking, Maybe it's one of those things. The doorbell just is not it. So try knocking on the door. Knock on the door. No one's home, right? But I already knew at this point in my life to not count my chickens before they hatch. And I think that saved me that day from a majority of the disappointment. In our hands, we had this egg that was the address to Dennis Rodman's house. And when we went and cracked it open, when we knocked on that door, there was no chicken in the egg. It was just, in that case, as far as we know, empty. Maybe Dennis Rodman was home and he maybe didn't want to meet a minivan full of children from Wisconsin. Or maybe Dennis Rodman never lived there and our uncle was trying to have us killed. All these things are possible, but when we cracked open that egg that we had, that address that we knew to go to, no chicken. So it is what it is. But the part that has the actual chickens was earlier. I have many siblings, several of them older, and grew up in a small town in Wisconsin. And so by the time it was time for me to do things in school, they could generally let me know, this was going to happen and then that was going to happen. And, you get to this grade and then this thing happens. So I had a lot of clues going in to kindergarten. When I first went to school, I was excited to go to school. And one of the things I was most excited about, which is something I had heard about from all of my older siblings, is at one point in the year in kindergarten, they bring in like a hen and a bunch of eggs in this, thing. It's like giant cage thing. And this lady, I guess, explains, that the eggs will in time hatch and they'll all get to see all of the baby chickens hatch out of the eggs. And each one of my older siblings, as far as I could tell, had a great time with this experience, and I was super excited to see the little baby chicks come out of the eggs. And so, sure enough, I go into kindergarten and having a great time as you do. And the day comes and the lady comes with the chicken and all these eggs. And she's explaining to us, these eggs are going to hatch into little baby chickens. And we are thrilled. We are amped up about it. Every day we come in and first thing is like, how are those little eggs? How are our little baby chickens? And there were more eggs, I think, than any of us could count at the time. So the whole don't count your chickens before they hatch thing. I mean, we were barely counting, I believe. I think pretty focused on the alphabet and stuff. But there were a lot of eggs. Probably at least a dozen, if I had to guess. And every day we come in and how are these chickens? And then finally, the woman comes back and she's like, she explains to us that she's there to check on the eggs, and it's time. It's time for there to be chickens that come out of the eggs. And we all gather around this big enclosure thing, and she goes in and she grabs one egg and she's like, let's just knock and see if anybody's home. And you gave it a little kind of tippy tap, and didn't seem like anyone was home. So she taps it again, and it doesn't seem like anything's going on. So she busts through the shell just a little bit and is kind of taking a peek, and she takes off more of the shell, and what she has in her hand after that is kind of a half of a chicken that didn't quite make it. And so we are pretty horrified by this, us kindergartners, and it's not great seeing the lady holding the dead half chicken thing that didn't make it. The first egg was not good. So she goes to another egg. The second egg. It was only maybe just the one what didn't quite make it, and the rest are going to be beautiful, healthy baby chicks. And she takes the second one, she taps on it. No one's home. She goes straight into busting it open. There's no double tap on this one, just cracks it right open, and there we had, 2/3 of what might have been a chicken. But that one didn't quite make it. But it's just 2 out of the whole pile of eggs, right? So she gets one more egg, third egg. And she taps. No one's home. Dennis Rodman is at basketball practice. Maybe. No one's home. So she busts down the door of this one, right? And in there we find, just like its brothers and or sisters before, not quite a chicken. Somewhere just didn't quite go all the way. And then the lady starts saying something about like, maybe we don't have to do all of these here and now. And us kids catch wind of this. You know, we can't count good, but we were situationally aware. And if someone piped up right away, said, one of them might be alive. And so we sat around for a while. Every last egg. Little tip tap. Knock that door right over. And in there, not quite a chicken. No signs of current or future life. Dennis Rodman is not home. So, it's probably good that we couldn't count very high, because we probably would have tried to count those chickens before they hatched. And what we got was 0. And an important life lesson. Or several. A, don't count your chickens before they hatch. And B, sometimes you just have one cold night and everything dies. And sometimes when it's your turn to witness the miracle of life and the birth of chicks, sometimes life just skips right by. Sometimes you don't get a birthday at all. And, you know, I am grateful that when I emerged from an egg, I was a whole person. I am glad that I was not ripped out of that egg after a cold snap that killed me and my 11 siblings. I am happy to be alive. But, you know, aging isn't great. You start to outlive things. One of my birthdays when I was a kid, I went to Dairy Queen and got a Nerds Blizzard. They put the Nerds candy in the Blizzard and blizz it up, and it would turn into a rainbow. And I was looking the other day at the Dairy Queen menu, and it didn't look like Nerds made the cut. So yeah, did I make it another year around the sun? Yeah. But Nerds Blizzards didn't quite make it. And as time continues to go on and aging happens more, there's more and more of these people and things that were but no longer are. You know, you look behind you where once was a figure that you could trust, a man that you could admire and respect, one who would take care of you. And you look one day and he's gone. You might have turned another year older, maybe another 2 years older, before you noticed someone had their death day. Someone is gone, and you have to carry on without them. And right now, I am referring to someone that, to me, was monumental. It's one of those things you don't appreciate what you have until it's gone and you see what's left. It's all fun and games when you drive by a Chili's or an Applebee's and you know deep down there's something better out there. There's something better right around the corner. Our society is not declined to the point where Chili's and Applebee's are it. Maybe the year is 1998, and you are Don Pablo's. You are peaking right now. Don Pablo's, 1998. While the Chicago Bulls were basketing that ball, and Dennis Rodman's hair was doing its thing, Don Pablo's had its grip on 120 restaurants in the United States, and it was peaking super hard. And things were good. You know, we were halfway through the second half of Bill Clinton. The economy was booming. People were happy. And Don Pablo's was not only big techs, but also bold mechs. And we were thriving. We were thriving with the Don. It's not short for Donald Pablo's. It's just Don Pablo's. And then you turn around one day and he's gone. He rode off into the sunset. He took his burritos. He took his chimichangas. The chips, the sombreros are gone. But you're still here. Aging. Putting more distance between you and the life of Don Pablo every day. In June 2019, quietly, while you were paying attention to who knows what, Don Pablo's died the last breath of a long, slow death. And we've still got Chili's. We've still got Applebee's. And we deserve to live with those choices. Somehow, through the pandemic, through 9/11, through all this stuff, through Livin' La Vida Loca by Ricky Martin, somehow, Applebee's, we hold it on our shoulders and keep its doors open while Don Pablo's is no more. And it's hard to celebrate a birthday knowing that, for one, Don will have no more. Born in 1985 in Texas. Died June 2019 somewhere outside New Jersey. Or perhaps in New Jersey. it's not long enough. And I'm approaching that age. When I turned 28, I felt great about the fact that I, you know, I outlived Kurt Cobain. I outlived Amy Winehouse. I outlived Jim Morrison. And nobody listens to my music, but I'm alive. So, could always bust out a hit, right? You never know when someone's gonna just squeak out a quick hit. Not them. Not Don Pablo. Not anymore. And yeah, it felt good to turn 28 and cross that kind of threshold. But I don't know if it'll feel good to be older than Don Pablo was. And yeah, I mean, will it feel good to be older than Jesus got to? Yes. To beat Christ at his own game? Sure. But Don Pablo? He lived to be, 30 something? And if you go to the Wikipedia for Don Pablo's, you will find there are 62 references on that page. 62 distinct sources talking about the ways that Don Pablo changed lives. You go to the Wikipedia page for me, you find nothing. There is no birthday, there is no name, it does not exist. The impact I have had in my 31 years, according to our written history, is nothing. And so, will it feel good to be as old as Don Pablo was, Mr. 62 references? I don't think so. I'd have to start doing things right away. Right away. I could make a taco. I'm not clear on enchiladas. I can't even stand in the shadow of Don Pablo and take myself seriously there. Because compared to Don Pablo's, I'm nothing. Nothing at all. And now that the Don is gone and the chips and salsa no longer flow freely, I'm still nothing. And yet, I am less. One time my family went to Don Pablo's and the waiter there was on it. He was all over it. I am a thirsty guy. And so a lot of the time when I go to a restaurant, I'll say, I'll have this beverage, and just so you know, I am real thirsty. So thirsty. And this guy, you see, brings me my beverage, which I will not name because I do not have a sponsor, and you know about that. But he brings me my beverage and I drink it right away. Because like I said, I am thirsty. But not before my lips unhooked from the straw as I was finishing my beverage. He had brought me not one, but 2 new beverages. And through the entirety of this meal, if I got through the first of my 2 cups in front of me, I had another one right away. This guy was alive with the glory and the spirit of Don Pablo himself. And he danced through that restaurant. He glided like one of those speed skaters. Just insane, efficient, fast, smiling, quiet. It was everything. I don't believe that man physically was Don Pablo himself, but spiritually, identical. That's all gone now. It's all gone. I'm another year older, and Don Pablo's is another year gone. What have I done with my life in the past year? Well, ask Wikipedia. Nothing. I've never done anything at all. Don Pablo's? That man touched lives. You go in there, you tell them it's your birthday. They say, all right. Maybe it is. Maybe it is your birthday. And the next thing you know, they are singing, but you are wearing a sombrero. You don't have to bring your own sombrero. You can wear theirs. And that got me thinking a little bit. Maybe it's a good thing that Don Pablo's didn't carry into 2020. Because I know the Don Pablo almost on a personal level, and I'm not sure if he's a guy that would have been comfortable with during the coronavirus thing just saying, you know what? Let's just put the hat on hold for a little bit. So I think it would have been kind of a big problem, and that made me think maybe Don Pablo's is even better than we thought originally. Maybe Don Pablo's saw the whole thing coming and shut down, got out of the way of that bullet that came at all of us. And Don Pablo's quietly turned into, Moderna. I don't know exactly what happened, but I can tell you this. If you go try to look at Wikipedia at who made 62 references on the Don Pablo's page, it doesn't say. And if you try to search for the history of the changes for the Don Pablo's page, listen, maybe I'm just not the best researcher. Maybe I pushed the wrong button. But as far as I could tell, there is no history of that page. So it just came out of the blue one day. 62 references. The whole story of Don Pablo's? I'm not sure. Does Don Pablo walk among us? Perhaps. But what do I feel deep down? Well, the same thing as always. Our society is falling apart, and we're getting what we deserve, which is less and less and less of what's good, like Don Pablo's, and more and more and more of what sucks, like things that aren't Don Pablo's. No, there's plenty of good restaurants. There's plenty of good restaurants that opened up in the massive vacuum that Don Pablo's left in our hearts and in our soul, in our culture. Yeah, a few things popped up and they're all right. But they don't make you feel like that. They don't have you peaking hard. 1998, 120 locations. Just on top. And then it's gone because we don't deserve it. What have you done since your last birthday to deserve Don Pablo's? Probably nothing. There's 8-9 billion of us on the planet, and we don't deserve Don Pablo's. Taco Bell, yeah, you got it. Chili's, oh yeah. Families going out to dinner. Perfect. Don Pablo's, a little too good for us. A little too nice. The service was too fast. The food tasted too good. Big techs. And bold mechs. And we just didn't care enough. We just didn't care enough. We let Don Pablo's peak at age 13, 120 locations peaking hard. And then we just kind of slowly stopped caring. We went to a Chipotle Mexican grill and we said, you know what? I'm alright with this. This is good enough. I don't need decor. I don't need to walk into a place teeming with life and professionals and spirit. I am okay with this soulless, half warehouse bean scooping hut. That's fine. Don Pablo's is gone and it's your fault. And for that, I blame you. You can wish me a happy birthday, but it's too late. You killed Don Pablo. And what do you have instead? What do you have? You have Taco Bell is hacking their menu in half every few weeks. You're going to be down to just soft or hard taco by the end of it. They're going to cut the Baja out of the blast. You got Chipotle, which is very much still like, let's get some scoops of food. Which is fine if you're in a hurry, if you're on a budget. It's not inedible. It is definitely food in almost every case. And it's fine. If you go through the line and you keep your eyes on what's yours, and, you hope there's no problems with anything, but come on. It's not going out. Don Pablo's was one of our great American treasures. And it struck that balance, that impossible, beautiful balance between big techs, bold mechs. And of course, Don Pablo's is not a sponsor of the show. Nobody's paying me to sing the praises of our fallen hero. I'm mostly here to let you know that I blame you. Don Pablo was my friend, and you took him from me. You did nothing but try to help and bring chips to the table and have absolutely ample parking, beautiful brick building. It had flair, but not too much. It had a soul. And you killed it. 30-some years old. And you killed it. Out of neglect. You just stopped loving it until it died. And I'm supposed to be happy when you wish me a happy birthday? The Don is gone. Yeah, we keep living on, but are we really? Are we really? I'm still here. I'm just, I can't get over what you did. And I do thank you for listening to the 1-800-FunkSauce.com show. I will encourage you to email me. I want to hear your Don Pablo's story. Tell me about the time that Don Pablo reached into your life and really touched you. I want to hear about that. You can tell me about other stuff too, but what I want to hear about, what I really want to hear about, is how the Don changed you. Thank you.